Alright, motherfuckers. Before I get to this AEW review, there's one thing I want to say. There's one thing I want to mention, right? Because I also watched NXT. I don't think NXT was worth reviewing, really. Like, nothing happened. Like, they're waiting for that pay-per-view. It was just a bunch of horseshit. Some good matches, but kind of horseshit too. A lot of botches. But I will say one awesome thing happened at NXT, and that was the NXT Tag Team Championship. This goes to show how important booking and character is on a wrestling event. You know, the main event was, just think about what I'm going to say right now, motherfuckers. Think about who was in the main event. It was Breezango versus Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, right? Now, if someone were to ask you, pick the 4 lowest low-card guys in the entire company, you might pick these 4 guys. Now, everybody knows that I enjoy Breezango a little bit, and I'm a big fan of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. So it was really good to see them get their opportunity after Undisputed Era was cucked out and attacked, right? Now, this whole thing, motherfuckers, the match was all right. It wasn't a great match, but it was well done because even though it was like an impromptu, new challengers that came up, it was presented in a way where you thought that Burch and Lorcan, for some reason it just feels weird to say Lorcan. Like, Oney Lorcan makes sense, but just Lorcan is weird. Where Burch and Lorcan had a possibility of winning, right? That's primarily because Breezango is just like a horrible, horrible tag team. You know what I mean? Like, they've been presented as a shit tag team for so long that them losing is not odd by any means. You know what I mean? They felt transitional, motherfuckers, the whole time. So the match kept going, right? And near the end, a masked individual comes out and pushes Fandango off the turnbuckle. This causes a distraction for Tyler Breeze as well as the referee. While the referee is checking on Fandango outside, Danny Burch just low blows Tyler Breeze right in his balls, right? Turns him around, and they hit their finish, their little elevated DDT finish. And they pin him. And that moment where they pin him, I'm like, oh man, they might kick out. Like, you never know, right? Because it's, again, it's Burch and Lorcan, you know? Like, it's weird to see them as champions. But they won. Masked Assailant comes in, gives them hugs and shit like that. Takes off his mask. Guess who, motherfucks? That's right. Clearly the MVP of this year, the Rookie of the Year, Pat McAfee. All right, Pat McAfee, by far the Rookie of the Year in wrestling. Let's be real. Let's not even sugarcoat it, right? Pat McAfee has been awesome. His match with Adam Cole proved that he was great. You know what I'm saying? And it was as simple as that, right? Now he's made himself relevant again in the storylines of wrestling by screwing, in this case, Breezango, but, you know, more so screwing Undisputed Era from their title shot. And possibly, I'm not sure if this is an actual alliance, but possibly aligning themselves with Burch and Lorcan. I mean, I guess he has to, just so like when they get their title shot against them, when Undisputed Era gets a title shot against them, it'll make sense, you know? So that's how that went down. You know what I mean? That's how that went down, motherfuckers. Pat McAfee taking off the mask. At first I was like, who the fuck is this guy, right? Because it's like, you know, I'm not used to him yet, so I don't know who he is, you know, until like, I'm like, oh shit, it's Pat McAfee. Great way to close the show. Great way to close the show because it was a relatively unpredictable, but not super unpredictable title change, right? There was a story behind it and the match was all right. You know what I'm saying? And more importantly, it made use of talent that is typically forgotten, right? So it's like, yo, here you go, man. You know, Breezango can get it done. They can be interesting, you know? So there you have it. I thought that was really, really cool. Now, with that in mind, let's get to why we're here, motherfucks. The AEW review. All right. First up, JR and Excalibur let us know that it's time for the first round of that horseshit elimination tournament to determine the #1 contender, which culminates at Full Gear, right? So I'm like, wait, it culminates at Full Gear? In my head, I'm like, I thought the winner would get the title shot at Full Gear. Well, I was wrong about that, motherfucks. But nonetheless, the first match, it was Jungle Boy versus Wardlow. I actually enjoyed this match. Here's why. I enjoyed it, again, just like I said about the Burch and Lorcan match. I enjoyed it only because of the booking, right? Jungle Boy has been positioned for quite some time now, arguably since day one of the company, as a future champion, as a future star. As a matter of fact, you can't sit down and watch his bullshit matches without JR mentioning, oh, Jungle Jack Perry, he just calls him Jungle Jack Perry for some reason. Oh, Jungle Jack Perry is going to be like a champion, mark my words, one day, you know? So it's like, as you watch this, you think to yourself, okay, when is this going to happen, right? Any moment now might be the moment where Jungle Jack Perry gets an opportunity to shine. So I honestly thought it was going to be right now. I know he's not going to win this tournament, right? Obviously, it's going to be Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega in the finals. Like, there's no point even having this tournament, you know? But it is what it is. But I thought maybe he'll make it really far. Like, he'll give Kenny Omega a very competitive match, or Hangman Page a very competitive match, depending on which side of the bracket this cuck is on, right? But instead, he gave Wardlow a very competitive match. And Wardlow, who I think has lost like once or twice, like I think he has one singles loss, and that's the one to Cody, which was a big deal, you know? He fought him well. Eventually, they were on the outside, like on the ramp, which is parallel to the ring, which is level to the ring. And he picks him up, and he hits the F10 on Jungle Boy from the outside to the inside. And it didn't look that good, just because of the fact that he definitely had to clear the ropes. You knew that was like the main motivation behind it. It's like, oh, I got to clear the ropes. Can't throw him too high, you know, things like that, right? So he cleared the ropes, then he went inside, and he picked him up, did the F10 again. Now, the F10 is like a spinning F5, where he just lets him go. Like, as he's spinning, like in the Fireman's Carry, he just throws him up. And then Jungle Boy just spins while falling to the ground, right? It was awesome, as usual. Wardlow is great. I love Wardlow. Wardlow deserves better than this. Wardlow is a guy who looks great. He's a big guy. He's strong, right? He's not known from anywhere else, which is a huge positive in my opinion, right? He's not like Jack Swagger, you know what I mean? Or Luke Harper, right? Or all these other guys, or Brian Cage. All these guys that are big and strong, but it's like, dude, they've made their name elsewhere. You know what I mean? It's like Jack Swagger and Luke Harper will always be WWE guys, or whatever, CCW when he was Brody Lee for the first time around, who the fuck cares, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, they're people that like aren't that young, and they're not that new, right? Brody Lee is like 45 years old, or whatever the fuck he is. He's not a young guy, you know? So I know he's like a big guy, so they tend to last a little longer, but he's not this like young guy anymore. So you can't really make him a future star is what I'm getting at. Wardlow is someone that's unencumbered by any other company and any other reputation. So you can make him whatever the fuck you want. He's better than MJF. You know, this idea that MJF is supposed to be this huge star is ridiculous. MJF is like a Miz ripoff. Nobody gives a fuck about MJF. Miz, and when I say Miz ripoff, emphasis on the ripoff. Miz is 50 times better than this jobber. You know what I'm saying? So the facts are what the facts are. Wardlow deserves better than this. It's a shame that he's going to lose to Hangman Page. I remember now what the bracket looks like. To Hangman Page, I think, next week. So it's really, I think it's next week, but I think it's really annoying that he has to go down like this to Hangman Page, who pretty much hasn't done anything for like a year and a half. It is what it is. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Next, we had another eliminator match. It was Sonny Kiss versus Kenny Omega. This match was mercifully short. The match starts, Kenny Omega does like a jumping V-trigger to the face of Sonny Kiss, picks him or her up. I don't know what pronoun they use for Sonny Kiss anymore, because they use a different one every time, right? Picks Sonny Kiss up, hits the one-winged angel, and it gets the pin. Then he helps Sonny Kiss up and is like showing sportsmanship, right? So he's showing like seriousness, but sportsmanship. You know, he's kind of like really he's kind of like a heel, but he's not presented as a heel yet, you know? I think he had new entrance music too, which is pretty cool. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a new beginning, a reinvention of fucking Kenny Omega. We'll see how it goes. If this is a reinvention, then we can just assume that his first incarnation of last year was just a shitty year for him. Basically a failure of a year, if you ask me, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. There wasn't anything, like the analysis that I'm reading here, it says Omega is going full-blown heel. Not at all. He wasn't going full-blown heel. He tried to help Sonny Kiss. He's going like pseudo-heel. He's going to be a heel soon, but it's going to happen. Then we had Pentagon, who just, this guy's name is different every week. First he's Pentagon, then he's Pentagon Dark, then he's Pentagon M, now he's Penta L0M. Fuck this guy. Pentagon is what we're going to call him from now on. Fucking cocksucker. Oh, Penta L0. Shut the fuck up. So Pentagon, it's him versus Rey Fenix, right? They keep talking in this match about how these two are brothers, not realizing that nobody gives a rat's ass that they're brothers. Like, nobody cares about these guys. Like, you can't all of a sudden just take two guys who have been wearing a mask for a year and have shown no personality and then try to get me to like empathize with them. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? It's not, WWE doesn't do this with Grand Metalik. You know, it's like all of a sudden Grand Metalik's cat is lost. New storyline, motherfucks. You know, so I didn't like this at all. You know, it reminded me of this one asshole who I saw on like Squared Circle or something, who was like, Pentagon has charisma. And I'm like, how the fuck does he have charisma? He says 3 words, right? That's all he does, is says 3 words and makes one hand gesture. Thank God that's just not over anymore. I'm sure it will be when people come back, but it is what it is, right? Match was good for what it was, which means it was shit compared to other matches. But Pentagon, at certain times in the match, he showed mercy to Rey Fenix because Rey Fenix is his brother. And this prompted Eddie Kingston, who was on commentary, to be like, well, you know, they're brothers and things like that. And then like, but don't show mercy, etc., etc. It was what it was. Eventually, Phoenix hits a Spanish fly, which Tony Schiavone said it was the move of the month. And I'm like, dude, you just said the One-Winged Angel like 2 matches ago. He was like, the One-Winged Angel is one of the best moves ever. It's the best move. The perfect finisher, I think he called it. So get the fuck out of here. Which one's which, right? Pentagon was about to win the match. He was going to go for like a big move, like go off the ropes to a kneeling Phoenix and go for a big move of some sort. Phoenix counters into like a spinning head scissors into the Canadian Destroyer. It looked fake as shit. Like, no way, shape, or form could anyone have that kind of force to generate that kind of momentum without the other guy jumping, which makes it look fake. Phoenix wins. Who gives a fuck? One of these guys is going to job to Kenny Omega. We've seen Kenny versus Phoenix, and we've seen Kenny versus Pentagon several thousand times. So nobody gives a fuck. They're obviously going to lose to Kenny Omega, so it doesn't really matter, you know. There we have it. Then we had the last, mercifully, of these eliminator matches. It was Colt Cabana and Hangman Page. Before the match starts, they have Colt Cabana and Reynolds and Silver like backstage, right? And they're talking about how, like, you know, the Dark Order is going to win the titles because Reynolds and Silver are going to win the match and then the titles. And also, Colt Cabana is going to win this tournament and become champion. And Brody Lee is going to become the mid-card jobber, right? They don't say mid-card jobber, of course, but that's the implications, right? Now, what caught me as strange is that, like, despite the fact that these people are supposed to be part of Dark Order, right? Like, for a while, Reynolds and Silver would wear the mask, you know, and they were like, I think the number 4 and 5 or whatever. Like, they have numbers associated with them, right? For a while, they were actually part of the Dark Order, right? But now they have their own t-shirt which says, like, recruitment specialists. And it's like goofy cartoonish pictures of them. Like, it's almost like they don't exist in the same universe that Dark Order does, right? Like, if you compare someone like Evil Uno, who comes out in a suit and a mask, I agree, but he comes out in a suit and has his arm behind him, right? Like, he comes out as a serious guy. And he has a throne, or he used to have a throne, that was made from like, you know, human furniture, basically, for people becoming a throne, right? That's a serious dark gimmick. There's no room in that same group for, like, goofy-ass Reynolds and Silver or Colt Cabana. You know, it's so stupid. It's like, you see Colt Cabana, he's supposed to be part of the Dark Order, but he's, like, smiling and happy. Like, it's as if nothing's changed. You know what I mean? Like, he joined the Dark Order and his character remained the same. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, they emphasized during his match, which was next, that, like, you know, he's been undefeated since joining the Dark Order. But that could just be a coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Like, he hasn't changed anything since joining the Dark Order to justify this like statistic, right? To suggest that it has any correlation, any causation between this ridiculous correlation. He's just the same guy, same moves, same shit, same entrance, same taunts. It's like nothing's changed at all. Like, this goes to show that why people like Colt Cabana have always been in the indies, because they lack the fundamental understanding of what wrestling is as a medium. That when things happen like this, you have to change your character around, even if it's for a day. Like when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family, he wore the jumpsuit, he changed his name to Daniel Wyatt, he was full-blown Wyatt family. You know what I'm saying? This is what Colt Cabana should do. Instead of doing the same old shtick that never got him over anywhere. Like, nobody gives a fuck about this guy. You're a flying asshole, fucking loser. So anyways, it was what it was. The match was shit. It was Colt versus Hangman. The match was shit because, let's be real, no one thought that Colt would have any chance to win this match. Hangman Page wins with the buckshot lariat, and that's that. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was. Nobody gave a flying fuck. Then we had the worst segment of the week after the I mean, if you don't count the Raw segment of Randy Orton and fucking Drew McIntyre in the Hell in a Cell. It was Le Dîner Debonair, right? Jericho and MJF have dinner. This was basically like a long skit that involved a bunch of horse shit, including like a dancing number like from the 60s, right? I don't know what to say about this. One thing I will say is that I'm reading the Bleacher Report right now to get some ideas as to like what happened, because I almost forgot half this shit. And it says here, if WWE had booked this segment on television, it would have been torn apart by critics. You know what I'm saying? And then he says, with that said, it was a delightful change of pace and proof that you simply cannot go wrong by blending all blue eyes and pro wrestling. This was garbage. This was stupid as shit. It wasn't funny. It wasn't cool. It exposed Jericho for having his like bloated, alcoholic looking face. Like it's like bloated and tan. He looks like he's like 1 foot in the grave, even though he's only like 50. You know what I mean? I don't understand why they did this. It was such garbage. Then we had the return of Dr. Britt Baker. Like, who gives a fuck? What the hell is this all about? It's like, you lose a match, you take like a few weeks off, and then it's like this big return. Like, I give a fuck. Last time I saw her, she was getting her ass beat by Big Swole. She comes and she beats some broad named Kylan King. Or Kylene, I don't fucking know what her name was. She whoops her ass, who gives a fuck? She puts not the dreadlock, what the fuck's it called? The lockjaw on her, who gives a flying fuck. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares at all. Then we had the main event, which was the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the #1 contender. Continuing in the trend that AEW has been doing for a year and a half of having basically nothing unpredictable happen at all. Like, not one thing. Like, I honestly cannot think of one unpredictable thing that has happened in AEW ever, except for maybe Wardlow winning today against Jungle Boy Jack. You know? Everything else has been super predictable. I guess you could say Private Party beating Young Cucks. That was unpredictable back in the day, right? This match was a Fatal 4-Way, which pretty much, I mean, let's call it like it is, right? Private Party, this is a team of jobbers, right? They've never like accomplished anything in this company. You have Silver and Reynolds, who everyone knows have a 0% chance of winning this match, and honestly, ever becoming tag team champions unless something changes drastically. And then you have Butcher and Blade, who again, two jobbers, And then you have the Young Bucks, which are the golden team, right? The Young Bucks win with a roll up, though. I didn't like that. And it's them versus FTR. The match was very flippy, very boring. The Young Bucks did all their spots, so if you want to see the same spots again, watch this match. If you're tired of seeing the same 5 moves that Young Bucks do every match, don't watch this match. Nothing cool happened beyond that. Then FTR come to like taunt the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks get hit with a chair from the cameraman. And the announcers have to pretend like they're all retarded and say things like, "Who could that be?" And I'm like, it's obviously Tully Blanchard. You could just tell it's Tully Blanchard because it's obviously an older guy. The FTR grabs one of the Bucks. You do like a double pile driver lift on him, and Tully spikes him down. That was kind of neat, I thought. And Tully just hitting him with that spike pile driver. That was pretty cool. Beyond that, no one really cared about anything here. They also tried to destroy the leg of Matt Jackson. I think it was Matt Jackson's leg they tried to destroy. It looked fake as shit. You could just tell that like it wouldn't hurt in real life. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. That shit went down. No one gave a flying fuck. And here we are, motherfucks. Nothing special happened. The episode was just so-so. I'm kind of looking forward a little bit to Full Gear, I will say. It would be disingenuous for me to say that I'm not looking forward to it, because at the end of the day, I do want to see Young Cucks versus FTR. Like I've been saying for a while now that I think that's kind of a dream match. So it is what it is. I do want to see that. And I hate to say it, I do want to see the I Quit match, Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. I like this for one reason and one reason only. That it's a pay-per-view and you're giving the opportunity to Eddie Kingston, who in my opinion has earned it this last couple of weeks just with his promo work alone. Now, his in-ring work has been less than desirable, but it is what it is. Like, I don't understand why they had Lance Archer win the Battle Royal thing, right? Instead of just having Eddie Kingston win it and having that battle royal be tied to getting a title shot at the pay-per-view. And then Lance Archer could have gotten his title shot some other way. You know what I mean? What was the point of that? It's like, why does beating Eddie Kingston get Lance Archer a title shot in a couple of weeks on a throwaway episode, and losing the match gives Eddie Kingston a pay-per-view match? You know? I actually think this is going to be brutal, and it's going to be good. That's the one thing that Jon Moxley and people like Eddie Kingston can do, is have these like bloody brawls, right, where they hurt each other. Those have been fun. AEW's brawl-ish matches have been pretty fun. A lot of them. You know, like the Jon Moxley Janela one, the Kenny Omega Janela. Like, some of them have been good matches. Like, they've been entertaining things to watch. You know, and I can only hope the same thing happens with this match. Now, will I be watching Full Gear? I don't know, motherfuckers, but we'll see. You know, we'll see. So, yeah, this episode actually wasn't that bad, if I do say so myself. I'd say it was better than NXT, except for the way that NXT finished. NXT had the better matches, I think, and NXT had the better moments with Pat McAfee, who is easily, again, the Rookie of the Year, probably the best wrestler of the year, if you ask me, motherfucks. You know what I'm saying? Pat McAfee rules. He's exactly like, do you know what Pat McAfee is? I'll tell you, motherfucks. He is like the New Day or the Young Bucks, right? He's the same kind of person. He comes from the same place, right? He's someone that probably grew up loving wrestling, wanting to be a wrestler. Except here's the difference. While New Day and Young Bucks were nerds who liked comic books and shit like that, Pat McAfee was out there pumping broads and joining the NFL. You know what I'm saying? He was actually a good athlete. You know, he didn't have to pretend to be a good athlete. He was actually a good athlete, so he joined the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And these other guys weren't good athletes, so they just hit the gym, they got some muscle on them, you know? But at the end of the day, they couldn't separate themselves from their real hobbies. Nerd shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, and consequently, if they went to the same high school, it was people like Pat McAfee that would grab Xavier Woods' head and shove it in a toilet. You know what I'm saying? That's what would happen, right? Same thing with the Young Bucks, you know, and Kofi Kingston. It's the kind of guy that would bully people like that. You know, I could see Big E playing the clarinet in the band. You know what I'm saying? So there you go, right? And people think that these things don't have consequences. And they do, unless you do something about it, right? That's why I try to preach in this channel to growth, right? Getting over shit. Being a man, if you're a man. Or being a woman, if you're a woman. You know what I'm saying? Or being whatever the fuck you want, actually. But that's why I preach these things. Because if left unchecked, you will find yourself being a 40, 45-year-old, right? 55-year-old, whenever the fuck it happens. You can always change. That's important, right? And you find yourself doing dumb shit like Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And then Pat McAfee just comes in with superior athleticism, more charisma, more entertaining, right? Better in every way. Why? Because he's more confident. Kofi Kingston doesn't exude confidence. Kofi Kingston is a guy who dances awkwardly, but not awkwardly like Big E dances awkwardly. Because Big E does it like to be funny. Kofi Kingston just is an awkward guy. He's just a loser. He's just a guy who's like been made fun of one too many times. He's never been the cool guy in the room, right? Even in WWE, he's never been the cool guy. Like, imagine him walking into a room with, like, I don't know, Dolph Ziggler, or fucking Miz, or John Cena, or R-Truth, or a number of other people that are cooler than him. He's never the coolest guy in the room. Imagine R-Truth and Kofi Kingston walking into a room. People be like, oh, R-Truth's cool as shit. Kofi Kingston, you're a fucking nerd. Shut the fuck up. You know, when I want to talk about cool things, I'll talk the truth. When I want to say shut the fuck up, I'll say it to you, Kofi. You know what I'm saying? So that's the important thing here, motherfucks. Pat McAfee, shout out to he deserves his own video. I'm going to do a video about Pat McAfee. That's what I'm going to do, motherfucks. All right. See you bitches later, motherfuckers. See you,